Yo, what is up, guys? Shinobi here, back again with another reaction video today, and we are reacting to a video made by a guy with AX in his name. I guess his name is just Ox or whatever, but either way, I'll leave his link down to his video and his channel down below. But we're going to be reacting to a video called Hoyoverse is getting too greedy or becoming too greedy, and honestly, I definitely agree. If we're talking all of their games combined, I think that currently it's Honkai Star Rail and Genshin, especially Genshin, like they're the number one offender of this with their banner, with how their banner works and what everything like that. But even Honkai Star Rail's gotten to that point, and honestly, I believe it all starts with Acheron specifically, because out of all, specifically light cones, she was the first one where you needed her light cone for her to work. Whereas with all the other light cones, you didn't even need a summon for them. They were all pretty much, and if you did get them, they were kind of universal for multiple characters. Versus Acheron's, and then even with some of the banners and how you do them, it's like, oh, you know, you need Firefly, you need Fushuan, you need, like, you would need with certain comps 2 different 5 stars for your team to work. You could work it with 4 stars, but it just wouldn't work as well. So I think it'll, like, Penacony, once again, I think is the downfall so far of Honkai Star Rail, which is why they're in the state that they're in right now. And that's not even just with the characters, it's with the story too, which is why you have a lot of people talking about how, you know, 3.1 specifically ain't looking too good and ain't looking too hot, and all the other stuff that, you know, honestly, I made a whole video on how I think that Honkai Star Rail needs to return to its roots. But let's go ahead and get straight into this. Like and subscribe if you guys do enjoy, and let's see what he got to say, because I definitely agree that Hoyoverse is becoming greedy as hell. And I feel like another thing too, before we can get into this, is I feel like this just might be me, but I feel like Honkai Star Rail, if it keeps going in the direction that it's going in, it's just gonna be one of those games like Genshin where it gets a decent amount of money to fund, I guess, their next game, which is Zenless Zone Zero. In this case, I feel like there's a chain reaction going on, and I might be spitting like tinfoil hat out here, but right now I feel like Genshin is like the money maker for, you know, HSR. But once HSR, if it gets to a really bad point like Genshin is right now, you know, gets bad enough, HSR might end up getting to a point where it's like the moneymaker with Genshin. It's in the same house with those two, trying to make money for Zenless Zone Zero, and then, you know, it keeps going. I wonder if that's the case, but hope not. But
so I've noticed that recently Hoyoverse,
hey, let's see what he got to say.
The way they handle their monetization, and while it has been brewing for a long time, just recently it has seemed they might be going a little too far with it. So I wanted to make a video about it. This is my first video in this style, so I want to know what you guys think about it. Before we start, I need to lay out what type of
Genshin could have been so good, man. It really could have.
And Genshin Impact. I have completed all the endgame. I typically pull just the character and sometimes their weapon. I have a few dupes of some characters, and I have one C6, that being Hudown.
Bro, I don't even think I have a C6. Like a 6-star character, a 5-star character. I don't even have a C6 character. I think all my characters are either C1 to C2. And this is just going off of memory because I haven't hopped in Genshin in a long time. I need to hop in there and look again, but pretty sure my strongest character, or at least my favorite character, Kazuha, is only at C2 or C1. Now, honestly, you only need him at C2. You don't even need him at C6 unless you're just trying to go crazy with him. But, and then Honkai Star Rail, I think all my characters are damn near E0 except for the dupes that I got from the beginning characters like Gerard. Gerard, I think I got him to like C2 because I kept getting him, and then I got like not Dr. Ratio. What am I? Frick, Yang. I'm pretty sure I got him to C2 because I got him on a I lost a 50-50 a couple times, but everyone else is like C0. Like I've been playing C0 for this whole time, bro.
I buy the Welkin in the Battle Pass in both games, but I've recently stopped.
I'd never bought the Battle Pass in Genshin, bro. It was pointless. I'm not against the Welkin, yeah, but the Battle Pass, hell no.
So much less unless I really like that character, and watching Hoyoverse get a lot more daring with their monetization over time has made that a lot worse.
Oh boy. Okay, we just starting off with Star Rail. We're not even going into Genshin.
I really do think Honkai Star Rail did start out as a generous game. They gave out a lot.
It still is. The fact that we get a free 10 summon every single patch, like, I gotta give it to them. Like, if there's something I gotta say that's positive about HSR, even in the state that it is right now, is at least they're still being generous. Like, I'm pretty sure of every gacha game that I've played, Epic 7 and HSR are two of the games where I've spent the least amount of money. Like HSR, maybe I'll buy like the Welkin every once in a while, but even then, sometimes I don't even have to do that. But then again, it also depends on how you summon for characters. Because me personally, I don't summon on every single banner. I don't even summon for every light cone. Shit, I barely have any of the character light cones outside maybe a few. Because I don't summon for every character. I just summon for the ones I like and I play like with whatever I want. I don't play meta, but I digress.
A lot of
Like
pulls I've
Genshin,
watched, much
shit.
more than Genshin Impact, and
Hell
a lot of
no.
people were very happy
Genshin
about
still
that.
hasn't even given
In
you
the
a limited
first few months of the
5-star
game,
yet.
you didn't have to pull light cones since they were nothing but stat boosts. The
They
only thing
still
you had to worry
are,
about was
kind
getting
of.
some elemental coverage, which doesn't really matter anymore. You could have fun running your Dill and Fall of an Aeon and still clear with no issues.
I still
Honkai
use those
Star
light
Rail
cones.
appeared
From the
even more
simulated
finished
universe, I
thanks to
still
Dr.
use them.
Ratio, who is completely free.
Bro, when Dr. Ratio came out, man, this basically made this is when Honkai Star Rail right here was the best. This was the best right here. This was it. From 2.1 all the way to where we're at now, like between 2.1, I feel like 2.5 is where it really kind of got cooked. But from that all the way to Penacony, good times, man. Good times.
Didn't require you to pull
This
them at
was
all.
this was
It
it.
was also the beginning of the famous Genshin can never meme, which in hindsight
They
was
still
kinda
can't.
stupid,
They
but
still
it was
can't. Frick, Withering Waves out here just added in freaking echo loadouts just for the funsies. Nobody even asked for it. I mean, we want it anyways, but they just threw it in just for shits and giggles, let alone the story being absolutely peak. It just, like, the fact that their weapon banner is just, like, you don't have to worry about losing a 50-50 on that weapon banner. You just get it. You just get the weapon. You don't gotta do all that other crap. It's just, like, it's just chef's kiss, man. They still can't. To this day, Genshin still ain't got a artifact loadout screen. They still gotta freaking worry about losing on the weapon banner, going crazy with that. And then don't get me started on their freaking summons, man, for the regular characters. Shit. Good luck with that, man.
that is correct. Because to this day, we have never gotten a free
Like,
universal
HSR got
5-star
its
Genshin
problems right
Impact.
now, but
Anyways, this generosity seems to slow
shit,
down
that
a
ain't
lot
one of
players
them.
Penacony and especially Acheron in 2.1. If you were to ask me what character I thought was the most
Yeah, this
fun
right
for
here
Honkai
was
Star
the
games,
beginning of the end.
Acheron would be my answer 99% of the time.
Like, I love Acheron as a character. I love her character design. Hell, I even made a fucking edit. I made a whole edit out of that character because how good I liked her. Because I liked her design, all that stuff, right? Like, but this was the beginning of the end as far as the power creep went. Because now every character's gotta be doing damage like this, which completely, like if the other characters like Blade and whatnot weren't power crept before, Yang Qing and all them, Seeley, hey, if they weren't power crept before, shit, they sure as hell were when this character came out, man. It was already kind of getting bad before. It wasn't that bad, but when this character dropped, it was over. It was over, bro. Like, you had to have this character. Hell, this character made clearing simulated universe instead of taking an hour or so or 30 minutes or so. This character made clearing freaking simulated universe take like 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Because you could just cut down your enemies with her sword and it automatically give you the drops. Like, it was not only just the damage aspect, but this character right here also helped in the overworld, which wasn't bad in a sense. Like, the overworld part wasn't bad. It was just, this character's cracked. And then you throw her light cone on top of that, man.
I
It's
could
like you
honestly
needed to
probably make a
get
whole
these
video
two.
about her impact on the game alone. Not only did she kick off the insane damage bloat, but she also had a very, very broken light.
That light cone is still to
Now,
this
if you
day
don't know,
cracked.
Acheron really likes debuffs. Her team needs to get 9 of them so she can launch a very powerful ultimate, the bulk for damage.
The Bonkai, bruh.
Her light cone gives 2 stacks on her ult instead of 1, along with a big damage boost and crit damage.
And I'm glad I
It
saved,
is
man.
probably the single
I'm so
biggest
glad I
difference
saved because I got
between
E1.
and the game.
I got not
The
E1.
reason
I got
such issues with
E0,
this light cone, as
E0
well as
on
two
both
other
of
light
those.
cones, is because it locks her ability to use her kit behind it. If we look at older units, most of them did not do that. They simply gave stat bonuses instead. Look at Jing Yuan's light cone. It gives an insane amount of stats and is a pretty universal option for a lot of Erudition characters. I like light cones like that, but Acheron's light cone is game changing. This is very much a situation of creating the problem and selling you the solution. If they're going to do this, why don't they just make the weapon banner guaranteed?
Money!
I don't
Exactly. I was about to say it. Money. Money. Which is why Withering Wave, that's why people praise Withering Wave so much. There's a lot of stuff that even HSR doesn't do and Genshin sure as hell ain't doing. That's like, people just want it and they ain't doing it. Now, hopefully in the future they do, but when now in the direction that HSR is going, it's going to end up looking like Genshin if they don't stop messing around. If they don't stop messing around, it's about to be going into another Genshin clone, which I'd hate to see, because I've put a lot of time into Honkai Star Rail, and I love the game. I made a video called "They Need to Go Back to Their Roots," man, and they need to go back to their roots. They need to go back to the 1.0 to 2.5 minimum. Look at the story specifically if you want to fix the story, and let alone all the characters and how you guys were doing that. And y'all just need to fix that, bro. Because right now it ain't looking too good.
Want to make light cones borderline required for certain units, and I don't think this would lose them money either. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually increased player spending because then they would have the security knowing they can get the weapon with no drawbacks. Wuthering Waves already has it and everybody loves it.
Yep.
So I don't really see why they don't do it here.
Money, man.
Another problem is now they're trying to sell you the character and light comp package and or the entire team comp instead of just the character. You wanted to play Break? Well, you need to get Ron May and Firefly who are both running at the same time.
I'm gonna be real. If you didn't summon for Ron May on that first banner, or if you missed out on her, that was a big oopsies. Though that's all luck based. But honestly, when it comes to gotchas, one thing I've learned, and one thing that I think a lot of content creators preach a lot, is summon for supports over DPS. DPS will always get power creep. Supports 9 times out of 10 will always stand the test of time. And even if they do get power creep, they're still usable. They're still usable, bro. Always go for supports, man. Always. DPSs will always get power crept every single time. We saw that with HSR. We saw every single DPS was always power creeping the next one and power creeping the next one. Go for supports, man. Always.
You wanted to play follow-up? Hopefully you have enough for Fei Xiao and Robin, because they're both running at the same time or right after each other. Maybe if I wasn't greedy and stupid, it wouldn't be an issue, but while I am glad the reruns are faster now, it's kind of a bit much. Personally, I would have liked it if we just got the one set of 3 like we did back in 2.5. But when you have 8 characters running in one patch,
which is nuts, I might add. Like, look at this. I mean, majority of these characters, like, I have already. So this more or so,
but when you have
this here, more or less, is more of a problem for newer players, which is still a problem than it is for older players. Because for older players who've been playing since patch, day one, it's like, we already had an idea of how we wanted to build our account. So, there was all sorts of guides on, okay, supports, man. Supports, healers, tanks, gotta go for those. Especially when stuff like Aventurine and Fushuan came out, had to go for those characters. Because, yes, while the DPS are important, and especially characters like Fushuan and Akron, hell, if you didn't have the supports to go with them, bro, your team was toast. And even right now, like, what we got right now. So, I got Fei Xiao when she first came out. I got Robin. And I made sure to only get the characters. I don't even think I got the light cones. Well, actually, I think I got the light cone to E1 on like these. Some of these I got lucky, some of them I don't. But the point that I'm trying to make is that for newer players, this is overwhelming as hell. But for older players who have already gone through this, it's like, oh, we've already had these characters before. So if I have them, I either go for them, or if I don't have them, then I can go for them now. So for newer players, it's more of a problem because it's like, who the frick do I go for? Some of these characters are old, some of them are new. But it also depends, too. Me, the reason I was able to get these characters, or had a better chance of getting these characters, is I didn't summon on every single banner. Sometimes some banners I just completely skipped out on them because I wanted something else, or I just didn't need it. Like right now, for me, I don't need to summon on any banners. I already got my team to basically the way I want it. Because I have 2 tanks, I got a bunch of healers, I got a bunch of support characters. I got more support characters in my freaking kit, or my teams, then I got DPS. I'm pretty sure the DPS that I use right now, I only have a couple of them, and it's my break team with it's my break team that I have with Firefly, and then my debuffing team that I have with Archeron, and then everything else goes from there, healers and whatnot. So it all depends. Like for instance, this character, I don't see myself summoning for this character. So that's just me, but I just wanted to talk about that real quick.
Characters running in one patch, including 2 new characters, and still not being given enough J's to even guarantee one is, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Power creep, where your characters fall to irrelevancy very quickly.
I need them to buff my boy Yang Ching, bro.
If your game gives out 150 pulls, but you need 150 of them to keep out the end game, then are you really generous? And I feel like recently in 3.0, all of this came around together in one big pile of dog shit. Every character rerunning was meta, except for Silverwolf, probably because Hoyo fucking hates her.
Yeah, Silverwolf got shafted.
Another example of blatant power creep, so yay. I'm sure she will require her light cone by the time her rerun comes around. Then we got Aglia. She's a very good character. I even zero cycled with her. Now I can impress my 21.7% female viewer ratio. She wants Sunday. That's understandable. But what I have a problem with is her E1. Her E1 gives her 20 energy on hit, and she wants all the energy she can get. She still works without it, but I hate it when they lock what should have been in their base kit behind Eidolons.
Yeah, that's
What
sketchy.
Eidolons and
That's what
Constellation
Genshin
should be is
does.
quality of life features and just damage increases, not removing the bullshit that Hoyoverse puts into their kit on purpose. It once again feels like yet another example of creating the problem and selling the solution. And another issue I've noticed is a lack of viable 4 stars. We have very few 4 stars that are actually good and useful.
Which is insane because when the game first came out, you could go and clear a majority of the game, even some of the end game content, just using 4 stars. I even saw there was a lot of people where they would do these challenges where it's like, you know, 1 5-star, but the rest of your team has to be all 4 stars. You know, people be able to do stuff with that, but now, hell no, it's kind of damn near impossible.
Often. Out of the 20 plus 4 stars in the game, I can count the good ones on one hand, and that is a problem when.
Yeah, and all of them are either cracked DPSs for 4 stars anyways, or they're really good supports or healers. And yeah, he basically got them all on screen right now. Tingyun, I forgot the guy's name. He starts with a G. Pela, who has been cracked since day one. She's basically the better Silver Wolf. March 7th, who thank God is free. And then I forgot your name, but you start with an M.
4 stars make up
It's like
30%
Mose.
of the roster. At least in Genshin, you have characters like Bennett and Xingqiu who are still amazing to this day, but there's nothing like
Bennett
them
is
normal.
basically a
And I
5-star.
can feel it when there's a grand total of 1 4-star I use on a daily basis. And the 4-star problem is amplified even farther when you realize that we only got 2 new banner 4 stars in all of 2024, and we have no new Amphore's 4-star in the drip marketing as of now, meaning that the earliest our next 4-star could be is around 5.3, which is around June. That's bad.
Yeah, that's
So now
really
it's not only
bad.
a problem of the lack of viable 4 stars, but it's also a problem of not having any new 4 stars. Like, look at this selector. Yeah, this shit is so ass.
That's why I don't buy the
These are
battle
just some of
pass,
the
man.
reasons why I kind of don't like pulling for newer characters much anymore, because then I know that if I don't get everything for them and there's no 4-star replacement, then put me in the corner of a hotel room and call me Sneeko because I am getting cucked. But as greedy as Honkai Star Rail is becoming, I don't think it's as bad as Genshin Impact.
Well, Genshin is something else. Like, Honkai Star Rail is on its way, but Genshin is, man, he probably about to
That's
talk
right,
about it.
Genshin, you aren't safe for me.
They ain't safe from no one right now. We're at a point in time where now it's actually okay to criticize Genshin, because before if you tried doing that, you'll get crucified.
Pretty bold with their monetization, but that doesn't mean it wasn't there before. There was a weapon banner not having weapon charting. Luckily, we did get it fixed. Hail Tectone!
Yeah, Tectone saved that shit, because he dropped how much money into that banner without getting the weapon. If it wasn't for him, bro, that shit's still pretty going on right now.
There's also characters like Hu Tao who really wants her C1. Trust me, I've played C0 and C1, and yeah, C1 does make her a lot easier to play. But as the game aged, things started to change. Throughout Fontaine, we got characters like Risley who really do like a C1, but Natlin, oh boy. Natlin brought it to a whole new level.
I haven't played
Pretty much
that
every
yet, so...
Natlin unit insane for exploration, but only in Natlin. So unless you want to use your Shalona roller skates for a grand total of 3 seconds, you aren't going anywhere outside of Natlin. But if you do want to use them for exploration outside of Natlin, then you need to shell out another $300, because a lot of the Natlin characters have their Nightsoul usage reduced outside of combat in their C1.
That's crazy. That's a whole nother level of not only power creep, but on top of that, locking stuff behind characters. Like, I don't know why they are still doing this. Like, it just not... I mean, I know why. It's because the Genshin fanbase ain't gonna criticize that game because they just freaking parasocial as hell. But it's like, bro, they're still out there locking just basic exploration stuff behind characters. Like, they're still doing that. And we all remember what happened when, you know, characters like, you know, Scar and Rouge came out. He was able to fly up, so you didn't have to climb for 3 hours. And then on top of that, you know, you had, you know, Kazuha and what he was able to do. And then they came out with one chick who could turn into a bird and whatnot. You know, and how she works. It's like they're still doing that shit. And then they made it worse because outside of Natlin, apparently, according to what I just heard, you can't even use some of these characters properly. Holy crap, bro.
Meaning more exploration. They also added the new Nightsoul mechanics on all of the characters. With that, you really want to play Natlin units in order to take full advantage of the Hero of Cinder City set. I won't go into too much detail about all the characters, otherwise this video would be way too long. But there's one character in specific that made this all just feel so much worse. And that character is none other than the Archon of the region herself, Mavwika.
Why does she have a bike?
I don't like Mavwika's kit. Now,
I mean, it's
Archons
cool and
take
all,
advantage
but
of the unique mechanics that
a
they
bike
bring
in
to the
a
region.
place that has no
Think of
roads.
Nikita with Dendro or Farina with the HP drain. And Mavwika is no exception to this. But the issue here is that Mawika is a DPS. She can work as a sub DPS support, but main DPS is where she shines, meaning that the team is made to support her. Mawika needs stacks of Fighting Spirit in order to launch her burst nuke, and Fighting Spirit charges faster using Night Soul points. This means that she requires Natlin use in order to fully function properly. She works okay without them, but she heavily wants them. Mawika is a lot like a shonen protagonist. While she might be kind of strong on her own, when she gets the power of friendship on her side, she becomes unbeatable.
So she's basically Natsu.
This is basically the equivalent of
She's
if
Natsu.
buffs only worked on Fontaine characters. I think you can see why that's a problem.
Well, Farina is the best character as far as storytelling goes in the whole entire Genshin franchise. Fontaine is really where it peaked. Fontaine is really where it peaked, man. They did a really good job with her. That was probably the last time I started it. That was probably the last time I was hype about anything in Genshin. I'm gonna be real with you.
Imagine you skip early Natlin use for Mawika, and then you find out that she needs them to be at her best.
Rip.
But don't worry, the game is nice to you, you see. They give you a free Kachina to play with your Mawika.
That's rough. That's
I can't
rough.
be the only person who feels like them giving us these bad characters out for free almost feels like an insult at this point.
That's rough.
But if you don't want to play Kachina, and I can't blame you because she's not too good, don't worry. There's another Natlin character that's running on Banner too that works perfectly with Mawika, Sit Lolly. But there
Who?
is a little problem. Hoyo decided to run both of these brand new characters on the same banner phase.
Damn, bro. They were really trying to get their money with this. I was wondering who that character was because I've never seen it before. I know about the Archon, but who the hell is this?
This was the first time in Genshin history this has happened. And to add insult to injury, the Lantern Right rewards were in the second phase, meaning you lost all of those because Dawei needed to buy a 6th yacht.
Damn.
This was one of the scummiest things Hoyoverse has ever done. You know,
That's rough.
I kind of wanted to pull from Mawika because she's really fucking hot. But this decision was so bad I couldn't do it. This is
Bro, there's a limit, man. There's a limit to the madness. Because you can find hot waifus anywhere, bro. Let's be real with ourselves. You can easily find a hot waifu in any game. But what's the cost to get them, bro? Because me personally, when it came to this game, I just turned for who I cared about or like my favorite characters. I still do that to this day, which is why, for the most part, I don't even have really any new characters out of Fontaine outside of Farina. Everybody else is either from Inazuma or freaking Leeway. Or hell, some of them even from Nonstat. I have not gotten really any new characters from any of the other regions. Except for, well, actually, I think I got one because I got Nahida, obviously. Because, yeah, Nahida was cool as hell. But it's like I got one from Fontaine, one from Fontaine, one from... Oh, God, why is my brain freaking out on the damn nations right now? That's how you know I haven't played Genshin in a long time. I'm forgetting the nation names. Jesus Christ. But you guys get the point. It's like I only summon for my favorite characters, and yet there's even still there's a limit to the madness, man. There's a limit to the madness, especially if you want to play them correctly. Which it sounds like in order to play certain characters correctly in Natlin, you just need you need to drop like $1,000, and we ain't doing that.
the first time I've skipped characters because I don't agree with the price point or the practices, and this won't be the last. I can tell they wanted to milk as much money out of us, and that was just disappointing, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's
that's
weird
rough.
because last year, the internet was broken over 3 polls, but then when this happens, I barely saw anybody talking about it.
Which is nuts because they were freaking the hell out because the Landlight rewards were absolute dog water. That 4th anniversary you got 4 summons or some bullshit. Game's been out for 4 or 5 years almost, and they only got 4 summons for that shit, and everybody was freaking out. But then you're telling me they did this and nobody freaked out? But then again, knowing how the Genshin community is, bro, they don't like to criticize people. Or they don't like to criticize the game. They live in an echo chamber where the only game they've played is that and anything else is trash. But I digress.
And the greed is
Because if they tried doing this in Honkai Star Rail, or hell, let alone Withering Waves, man, there'd be hell to pay.
only on the characters, it's also extending to the enemies too. These new abysses have enemies that want Night Soul to break their shields. This shit was so annoying I had to bust out my benched Arlecchino to hopefully normal attack it until it died. I can probably make a whole video on the shortcomings of Natlin, and their newer approach to the way they monetize their game just made it so much worse. I do like Genshin, but man, these decisions are just getting worse and worse.
And they're going to keep getting worse until the players, which they won't do, criticize that game and start holding the people who are making these decisions accountable. Until that happens, they ain't going to change nothing, because why change it if you're going to get the same results? That's the way they're working. The main thing this company cares about is money, man. That's why you see HSR making changes, because a lot of people are leaving that game and going over to other games like Zenless Zone Zero, or going over to games like Withering Waves, or just completing, just not playing the game at all. I mean, guess what happens when they ain't playing the game? That means they ain't spending money. That means they ain't putting time into the game, and that means that they ain't making money. Versus the Genshin fandom, and what they're doing is anytime they come out with something, it's like they complain for 2 seconds, and then after that they go back to praising the game like they did nothing wrong again. And they just don't. And anytime somebody tries to criticize, the whole community tries to dogpile them as if they're just being negative, because for some reason toxic positivity is just wrong. It just reigns king over there. But hey, I digress, man. That game is just never gonna get better, because as much as I want it to, it's never gonna get better because the community doesn't want it to get better. They're just gonna keep praising it. They're gonna keep talking how it's good and everything like that until they. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, once again, there was a whole meme about this game being the money maker for games like HSR and Zenless Zone Zero, because the players would not ever criticize it. So they're just gonna keep dumping money into it, and they're gonna take that money and they're gonna put it into something else, while they put barely anything into. They're gonna put like just enough to keep the players around for Genshin, but then they're gonna put money into other stuff later on.
As for Zenless Zone Zero, I don't really think it has any issues with greed yet.
No, and that's the only reason. The only reason it's like that is because out of the three of Hoyoverse's games, it's the least popular one. And I hope it stays that way, honestly, because the reason why they're not doing any of this bullshit is because of the fact that it's the least popular one. It's kind of like how HSR was when it first came out. Everybody talking nonsense about it. Everybody saying it's a dead game on release. You know, and that pushed people. I would especially see the HSR team saying, "Oh, bet y'all talking nonsense. Let me prove you all wrong." And they did. They did up to like 2.5 in Pinnaconny. They were cooking. Now we gotta wait to see if they do what Genshin does, or if they decide to get their stuff together. Zenless Zone Zero, we'll see how it goes. But right now, it's looking like it's looking like Genshin and HSR is going in the same direction, and Zenless Zone Zero is the game to play. Because that game, I feel like I could play that game and not have to worry about summoning for characters that much. And then again, there's not a lot of characters summoned for at the moment. But even still, I feel like that game right now is one of those games where I can play any character, make any build I want, and you just have fun with it. As long as I'm not trying to be competitive and go crazy, which I don't do that stuff anyways.
I've lost more gallons to that game than I have dollars, so I'm not really worried. I will say
I'm
the
still
wages
surprised
are
I
getting
pulled.
kind of ridiculous, and there might be a bigger issue with power creep if we keep going higher than Miyabi, but we're gonna have to wait and see.
We'll have to see how it
Now I know
goes.
I've received comments about how it's a gotcha game, and of course it's greedy and it's crossing into predatory, and you're right. Gotcha games being greedy is about as common as chips and salsa at a Mexican restaurant. Of
Facts.
course companies want to make money, but what's also important is how they do it. From what I've seen, Hoyo tends to skirt a fine line between being just generous enough to keep people somewhat satisfied, but not satisfied enough to the point where they don't want to spend money on it.
Basically, that's Genshin right there. Honkai Star Rail's still giving out free pulls. Probably not enough to give for the banners that they're supposed to be doing, but at least they're doing it. You can't get crap out of Genshin, bro. You cannot. And Zenless Zone Zero, bro, they just got hella content, so I don't know how they're doing. We're gonna have to wait and see in the future. But right now, Genshin is, man, Honkai Star Rail's kind of heading in that same direction, but they're not there yet. They're like middle of the road. They're in the generous. They're in like generous, but not too generous. Wait, hold on. Am I reading this right? So stingy enough to keep people spending. Okay, yeah, no. So yeah, no. Honkai Star Rail's in the generous but not too generous / middle of the road. Genshin's in the stingy enough to keep people spending road. They're not even generous at all. And then Zenless Zone Zero is just in the middle.
And while this makes sense, it feels like they've been more on the stingy side of things as of late. If they go too much in a negative direction, while it might benefit them in the short term, I really don't
Long
think
term,
they'll
it's gonna
stick
kill
around
them.
for long term. Except the Hoyo shills, of course.
Yeah, they're gonna
And
stick
we've
around
seen clear
forever.
examples of games that are much more fair with their monetization and respect their players.
Yeah, Withering
And they
Waves,
have a
man.
very dedicated
I
fan
swear, if
base.
Withering Waves had never came out, a lot of the changes that Genshin did make to their game, they never would have done it. I'm saying it right now. Withering Waves is the only reason why that game even made changes to begin with, because now they have competition. Now that they have, like, competition breeds excellence, man. It just does. Because when you have competition and you got to worry about other players going to a different game, it's like, damn, now we got to worry about it. Now we got to lock in. Because before, Hoyoverse didn't have any competition, so they were out there just doing willy-nilly and whatnot. But as soon as Withering Waves came out, it was like, oh shit, now we got to lock in at least a little bit. Because now we got somebody who could take our players away.
Fan base. Take Wuthering Waves, for example. As much as people want to pit the fandoms against each other, WoW fans love the game for good reason, myself included. The weapon banner is guaranteed, and the pity is 80 instead of 90. You
Yep.
can buy dupes in the shop. I can't speak for everyone, but I am much more willing to spend money on that game because I know it's a lot more reasonable. I may sound like a curlbot for this, but if giving a game as sweet flowers and mint is being a curlbot, then I guess I'm a curlbot.
Let's be real, they'll call anybody a Kurobot who doesn't praise Genshin only and praises Withering Waves. Let's be real. If you ain't praising Genshin Impact 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year, you are a Kurobot you are a Kurobot according to these freaking online shills. If you ain't praising Genshin and Hoyo all day, every day, man. Let's be real with ourselves. They like if you're taking anything they're saying serious, I'm sorry to say it. I don't know, man. Just get off the internet. I don't know. It's something.
This video is probably going to be a bit controversial, but I really hope Hoyoverse improves the monetization does
They
better
won't.
moving forward.
They
I
won't.
want a guaranteed weapon banner. I want more viable 4-stars. I want to have parts of kits not locked behind eidolons or light cones. I've seen people say that these games should be void of criticism because it's a gacha game or it's free. This is completely false. This company is worth billions of dollars, and if anything, they should be held to the highest criticism possible.
Like, you're making more money than some of these AAA studios, and yet you can't even put out a decent, just playable game. Like, I don't know why people would justify that. People be shitting on AAA games all day, especially these last couple of years, for making garbage games that cost a lot of money but expecting players to pay for a $60, $70 game that is just absolute dog water. But for some reason, with Hoyoverse and just these companies have been making millions and billions of dollars but have a free to play game, it's like all of a sudden now that just goes out the window. Like, what is that? They should be held to the same standard that every other game gets held to because of the fact that in general they're taking your time and your money. And time is one thing that you just can't get back. Time is the most valuable currency on this fucking earth. You can't get time back. You can get money back any way. There's plenty of ways to make money if you put your mind to it. Time, you can't get that back. You just can't. And Hoyoverse is wasting a lot of people's time, especially when it comes to Genshin, bro. I can't play that game without feeling like I'm wasting time, bro. I can't. I cannot be on that game for more than 5 minutes at a time without thinking, what the hell am I doing, bro? I could be playing anything else. Which really sucks because I enjoy that game. I enjoyed the lore, and I just can't no more with that game, bro. And for some reason, I don't know why, but those people, they're just... It's that, once again, I was talking about it earlier. It's the freaking, what was that term I called it before? Frick. It's when, I literally called it a certain term before. And now my brain's farting because I'm yapping too much. But you guys get it. They basically simp for the game so hard. Platonic, there you go. They're like hella freaking platonic to the fact that they've been playing games. Like, they're so loyal to the game that they will not criticize it. It's crazy. It's crazy, man.
This company is what other games would look towards for a successful gacha game.
Yep.
Meaning that all the stupid things that Hoyo puts in their game, case in point, the 50-50 on weapons, could end up in other games by other companies.
And they have. Even Withering Waves kind of has this problem by default. Like, the 50-50 thing, yeah, you can win on your weapon banner, but you still got to worry about losing your 50-50 when it comes to, summoning for a character on a regular banner. You still got to deal with that. And other, things are doing the same thing. It's kind of like the Fortnite effect. Once everybody saw Battle Royales was going crazy, now everybody's putting a Battle Royale and a Battle Pass in their game, and it ain't looking too good for some of those games.
And as a player, I don't want to have to deal with that in every other game that I play. Luckily, Wuthering Waves significantly improved it, and there are other games out there too with good gachas, and I'm hoping other games in the future do the same. The fact that a very successful gacha game doing what Hoyo couldn't in real time makes it feel so disappointing on Hoyo's end. Will any of this happen? Unlikely.
Yeah.
But I love these games and I want them to improve. All I hope is that we see better in the future. Honkai Star announced some changes recently, so maybe we'll see some monetization changes.
Hey, we'll see, bro. We'll see. Honkai Star Rail is one of those games where I'm like, they're at the point where now they have to prove themselves. They already proved that they could do it before. Now they gotta prove they can do it again. They were making some oopsies before, and now it's like, okay, you guys are screwing around a bit. Now it's time for y'all to lock the hell back in and get back to your roots. Get back to why people were talking about why Genshin could never. Y'all need to get back to that. Because right now it ain't looking too good. You guys are skirting the line way too close to what Genshin's doing right now. Way too close. Especially for my comfort.
And as for Genshin,
Good luck.
Yeah, you guys are cooked.
Yeah. If you're still playing
Before you
Genshin,
click off, I just
you're
want to say
beyond
thank you for
cooked.
reaching the end of this video. This is my first video like this, so I apologize if it's not the best. But if you guys want more videos like these, then let me know. And any feedback is greatly appreciated. And if you enjoyed, I really appreciate you subscribing. This video took a lot of work, and it really helps me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it. I agree with everything he put in this video. I'd say that a lot of people probably feel the same way, especially when it comes to Genshin. But then again, the shills, the shills will do what shills do. But I agree. We'll see how Zenless Zone does, and we'll see how HSR does. But Genshin, you're cooked if you're still playing that, bro. Especially if you're defending it, bro. Man, and the thing sucks because they have these such amazing worlds, bro. They have these crazy, innovative, inventive, and just awesome worlds that you can explore, the lore and all that. And it's just like, it's all ruined because the people are just, the people that are making these worlds just decide to get too greedy, man. It sucks because it really does. They could do so much, but instead decide greed, man. Greed always does some nonsense. But without further ado, I want to know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next one.